Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to this week's new episode of X Vlog Live. And I am back today with my brother from another who has taken some time off because, work, real life, folks, has been super busy for him. He's back to talk or to TTS as it would. My brother, C Money, how you feeling, dude?
Doing well, man. I mean, I've been sick, so I'm getting over it, but definitely glad to be here, man. Been a while, bro. It's been a minute.
Yes. Yes, it has. Well, look, you know what? Look, I mean, listen, it's the holidays. There's some
I know.
news popping out. We have a lot to cover, but there is something that is happening that is very interesting. See, Money, I actually am looking for the report now. I don't remember who the heck sent this to me, but if anyone is familiar with the China Hero Project, it is something that Sony is doing, and it's a big deal. It's a big deal for them because what they have learned, or I think what the industry has basically taught Sony, is that the big companies, the EAs, the Take Twos, more specifically the Square Enix, are no longer doing exclusives with them. Now, it's not simply because they're not paying them well. The problem that Sony, or at least some of their partners, were seeing is that they would take the bag of money. And again, we have to go right back to Square Enix, see, because there is what I think really became an inherent problem for that company.
Yeah.
They got locked in to only putting on PlayStation, meaning no Nintendo, certainly no Xbox, and no PC. And what wound up happening is it cost a couple of their CEOs their positions. We saw some big changes happen last year and the year before, where longtime presidents lost their position because they bet on Sony. Well, this is interesting. And again, I got to give a shout out to C Money because he brought this up. I read this earlier and I'm like, does anybody want to talk about this? But I think, C, you're onto something here. So Push Square wrote an article, which I have in front of me, and it's very interesting. Now, this obviously is an Xbox show, so you might be saying to yourself, wait a second, Boom. Why are we talking about PlayStation? Because look, to be honest with you, if you talk about one, you kind of got to talk about the other. They kind of go like peanut butter and jelly, even though maybe they don't really, mix too well for you personally. But there is a real interesting point here. Now, the China Hero Project, again, I just wanted to reiterate, it's super important to Sony because of the deals that they were used to getting are no longer showing up. So they have to go, see, to other parts of the world to find games that they could bring to their console. And usually, almost 10 out of 10 times, it's exclusive content. Well, folks, this is where I think you're starting to see a change in what Sony is doing. Because according to Sam Barker, who of course writes for Push Square, the PlayStation 5 action RPG, The Godslayer, is getting full support from Sony, and they show off some jaw-dropping footage. And it has been announced for, ladies and gentlemen, PlayStation 5 and PC. But it's also been for Xbox. What do you know about that? Now, this is again, it's part of the China Hero Project that is funded and run by who? Sony Interactive Entertainment. And they find and publish games for PlayStation 5, but they're going to also be publishing that game on Xbox. Holy cow. I think we're starting to see a big change, and a lot of the ponies are not going to like this. See, I want to get your thoughts on this, brother.
Yeah. I mean, the funny thing is that like in the article, like when they got announced for Xbox, they were like, "Oh, it's no longer part of the China Hero Project, and that's why it's there." So they reached out to Sony, and Sony's like, "Nah." No, it's still ours. It's still ours. We're still, we're still funding. We're still doing all that fun stuff. And it's just like, again, understand the funny part for us is seeing it slowly all happen. And as the denial that, the ponies have out there with it, that, oh, this is not going to be taking place. They're funding this game. And now all of a sudden it's coming to Xbox. And I think one of the biggest things that's happening, and you brought up Square and Sega and all these other people. I think one of the things that we're noticing is across the board, as cool as a game may be and as exciting as the game may be in the moment that it's released, right? You really don't recapture that moment when you release it later, right? And I think what's
Facts.
happening is, a lot of these games, they're like, okay, yeah, we had them exclusive, but now it's finally here, Xbox players, finally, we can bring it to you. We're so excited. And it's like, yeah, that's cool. But I think the majority of people is like, not, I mean, that's an old game. Like, that's cool that it's coming here, but like, we're going to be moving forward. And I think that they're not seeing the same type of, success that they would want to see. And they know that it's most likely linked to the fact that if they drop the game day and date, there's a better chance of that success being spread equally, as opposed to the one place you do it, they're like, okay, cool. But then when you bring it later, it doesn't really reach those same highs. So I think that these places like these China Hero Project, that was made for Sony to kind of have a in-house, like not in-house because they're not their studios, but like a way for them to get exclusives without having to deal with the bigger known companies, right? And China they are making a lot of kind of fresh games, a lot of times really graphically intense, nice looking games, and that are interesting. So they kind of had like this kind of grip on these games where they're like, oh, these games are coming out and they're coming out exclusively for PlayStation. And that's what a lot of the games that the ponies are excited for and people have seen that look good were coming from. And now, this is kind of like the reality hitting, where it's like, okay, well, um we got this game that we're making, and it's like, dude, like, we want to make money, and we don't know how it goes. We don't know if it was the company who's making the game like, hey, listen, we really really want to put this game everywhere, or you know coming to Sony. Obviously, Sony still has to okay it. They're the ones putting money out, and it's going to cost them money to port it to, the other places. Um, but this is showing you that people, like, it's just releasing in one place is not enough anymore for games with the budgets that they have and the desires that they have to be out there and be big, right? Having a great idea is cool. Making a great game is cool. But if you limit it nowadays, you're kind of just shooting yourself in the foot, man. And I think this is just another step where we're seeing Sony kind of expand away from.
They're pivoting, sir.
I mean, this is what it is. Again, whether they brought it up to the dev or whether the dev brought it up to them, either way, Sony okayed this, and Sony is saying, all right, let's go ahead and let's do this. We need to kind of push it out. We're not trapping our games on one box. And they've told us as much before, right? They've
Yeah.
told us multiple times at this point, but it's like this strong case of denial that exists where nobody wants to accept what they're saying, and they're trying to all like reframe the words that they say. Well, he didn't really
Yeah.
like this, and then it's like, yeah, no, we didn't mean it like that. We're putting Helldivers 2 on Xbox. Oh, we didn't mean it like that, but we're putting Lego Horizon Day on Switch, right? And we didn't mean it like that, but all those games that we funded, now they're coming to Xbox. Like, it's like, this is just another kind of step in the direction um of where we all expect gaming to go, right? It's going to be less about the box and more about the talent of the developers, the quality of the game, and how much people are excited about these games, just like music, just like movies, right?
Yeah.
None of these things are tied to a specific box. None of these things are tied to a specific location. Obviously, yes, you still have streaming services that make their own movies and or buy these deals. But even then, they're still putting things out in other places, and they're releasing in theaters when they were supposed to be streaming stuff. Like we just saw, Doodle and I just saw that movie Eternity, which is actually a really, really, really good movie. It was at the theaters, but it's an Apple film, right? Like Apple
Oh,
made the movie, but they put it in theaters, right? Because as much as it's cool to be like, oh, this is our movie, it's on our streaming platform, they also realize that putting it out in the theaters brings more hype to the movie. And then when it comes to the streaming service, they do get more eyes on it, right? It's just, it's all about content being available as much places as possible. And I think this is just heading in that direction, man. We keep seeing it. It's still happening. And it's just like, the caveat. I can't wait to see what the caveat is on this one, right? I can't wait to see.
are you suggesting the goalpost moving? Because you're using a
Oh my
very
God.
very very strong word with caveats. I just think that it's goalpost moving
Well,
or
we
tap
haven't planted the
dancing.
goalposts ever. That it's just attached to their shoulders. They're just constantly carrying the goalpost. They never put it down. It's just always moving in one direction. It's a good time. But listen, I mean, this is nothing but good news. As funny as it is for this for them, it's nothing but good news for the team, right? It's the people making this game are gonna have more eyes on it. And whether it's good or bad, we don't know that part, but
Right.
um it's definitely
Well,
gonna
the
have
game is
more eyes
scheduled
on
for
it. Have more placements.
2027, so they have plenty of dev time,
Yeah,
before the game releases. You know what? See, you brought up a great point, but what I'd like to do for some additional context is just read directly from the Push Square article, because what it does is it almost seems like the author's a little upset, a little perturbed in the way he wrote the article. So let me read it, folks, so you can understand where I'm coming from with this. So again, the article was written by Sammy Barker. Came out 4 hours ago on pushsquare.com. I'm going to add this article to the show notes. So, of course, if you want to click on it and read it for yourself, by all means, give it a click. But I want to read directly from the article. Now, it has here update Thursday, December 4th, 2025, 8 a.m. And it goes on to say, we assumed when the new footage for the Godslayer debuted earlier today that it was no longer part of Sony's China Hero Project programming. That's primarily because the games that release from that are involved in, of course, the China Hero Project, um, are normally exclusive to PlayStation and occasionally do go to PC. Well, according to the article, it says the game was also announced for the Xbox Series X and S, which is unusual as a China Hero Project title typically deploys as a timed console exclusive for the PlayStation 5. Recent examples of this include Lost Soulside, for instance, which launched on PS5 and PC only. But Dev Pethia Games reached out to us to confirm that the Godslayer is, in fact, still part of the China Hero Project. We asked how Sony is supporting the project, and a spokesperson told us, quote, Sony is assisting the project with some game development support, marketing, and publishing. More information is explained on their official website. And the last two paragraphs go like this, folks. We asked whether this will be a period of timed console exclusivity and what benefits Sony is getting in return for its investment and support, but the studio could not comment at this time. And this is where it gets a little, I guess you could see where he's a little perturbed. It says, well, there you have it. The Godslayer is still part of the China Hero Project, despite it seemingly being a full-blown multi-platform release at this stage. I mean, look, here's the thing. There is a little game that you may or may not have heard of, see money, called Arc Raiders. Apparently, it's good. It's doing really gangbuster numbers on PC, and of course, I'm being facetious. But here is the interesting part. When you go to the console numbers, Sony only has a pinch of an edge on Xbox. Now, why is that important to this conversation, you might ask? Well, here's the answer to that. It just goes to prove that the so-called 85 million plus consoles in the wild versus I think the last number was it's been reduced down to like the 19 million Xbox Series X and S consoles.
They
Every
keep
week it
dropping.
goes, it
Yeah,
keeps
they keep
dropping.
dropping.
It's people are burning their consoles.
People are
But
setting them on fire,
well,
throwing them
all
out the
jokes
window.
aside, there are 85 million consoles shipped for PlayStation. That's a big deal. Okay, it's a really big deal. That's a lot of consoles. They're going to hit 100 million consoles again. Great work for them. Xbox has, I would say, anywhere between 35 and 40 million consoles out in the wild between the X and the S. That's literally half. That's less than half. And this is why it's important to this conversation, C Money. And I want to kind of just, get your opinion on this. The reason why you're starting to see things like the China Hero project do things differently isn't, I mean, it could, like you said, could be a dev thing that they were asked Sony or required Sony, but I think ultimately this is a Sony thing. Sony
Yeah, publisher. They're
understands,
publishing it.
well,
So
they're publishing the game, and they also understand that their audience, their hardcore audience, not the normies, not the 85+% of those gamers who only buy 2 games a year on the PlayStation 5. I'm talking about the us, the other side, the hardcore. They cannot survive with just them buying the games. It doesn't work like that. That's not the way business works. They are investing in these companies. They are sending over development help. They're publishing. They're doing the advertising. They're spending money. And they're spending money because they want to make money. And what it again, you ask, how does Arc Raiders work into this? It's not a one-to-one. It's just a piece of context that I'm using. Arc Raiders is one of the hottest games of 2025. And when we know what the gangbuster numbers are on Steam. We're not talking about Steam. We're talking about the consoles, PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X and S. And right now, the PlayStation 5, even though it has double the amount of consoles available, it only has a pinch of an advancement of how many players are playing on PS5 versus the Xbox. That right there is why Sony is going to start putting more of these China Hero projects on Xbox and launching them at the same time. Because you said it. You said a great point. If a game launches this year and then a year later it launches for Xbox, it's not going to sell well because the zeitgeist is gone.
yep.
Right. So let's get your thoughts on that. On the, what we just talked about, whether or not, something like Arc Raiders kind of just lets people know that it's not, even though there's disparaging numbers from 85 million consoles to 40 million consoles, the player base, it's not equaling the same thing.
No. I mean, we've talked about it. I mean, we know that those 84 million consoles, or 90 million, whatever it is, it could be 150 million at this point. It doesn't make a difference. None of those gamers are the hardcore. Only the very first part, right? The people who buy the console in like the first 2 years of the console, that's going to be your most hardcore group of people. Everything after that is really filling out your casual list, right? And we already know the PlayStation is the casual box. And when I say that, and again, I want to be very clear because I'm a part of that group. I'm talking about people who don't only play. I'm sorry, that don't play many games. And when I say I'm a part of that group, is I play Fortnite as well as everything else. But like, there's a lot of people who will only play Fortnite, right? There's a lot of people who only play Call of Duty. There's a lot of people who only play Madden, right? Only play NBA 2K, right? So like, they're casual in the sense that they're not a gamer that's going to play a bunch of different games. They have a game they love and they just play it. That may be because that's just their favorite game and they want to play it always. Maybe they don't want to spend any more money on gaming, or they can't spend any more money on gaming, so they just stick to the one game and that's it. But either way, at the end of the day, we know that those people are benefiting. Like, let's be clear. Like, PlayStation gets a massive benefit for being the casual box because they are getting all those Fortnite players, Call of Duty players, man, all these people, and all these games that these people are attached to have microtransactions, right? So they're spending a lot of money. That's why Sony makes so much money, right? Because they do have the majority of players as far as casual gamers are concerned. They're there. That's the box they choose. When people say, "Oh, well, you're getting a new console," yeah, I'm gonna go get the next PlayStation or whatever. It's just part of what they do, right? It's the hardcore gamers, is the more discerning gamers, is more the gamers in the know who are the ones who kind of have an idea of what's different and what's special about Xbox and why they might go there versus somewhere else. And that's to show you that, you know, the numbers are actually pretty close between the hardcore players who are choosing PlayStation because they actually want PlayStation versus the people who buy Xboxes, right? And you know that because you end up with these games like Arc Raiders, which is, you know, it is becoming a, you know, a zeitgeist game, right? A game that is kind of in the moment, and we'll see how long that goes, right? Like how far that goes, how long it stays in the zeitgeist, right? How long it can ride this bubble. Is it going to be a Call of Duty or a Fortnite and always stay in rotation, or at some point are we going to see Arc 2 because the fan base drops off? We don't know that. But just knowing that this is a game that's not free to play, you got to buy this game. And when you see the fact that out of 84 million possible buyers, and then let's call it 25 or 30 million, you know, possible buyers on the Xbox, this roughly the same amount of people are buying this game and playing it. I mean, it does show you that at the end of the day, when it comes to the core games, right? So all these games that are being made that are not the zeitgeist games, right? Not the games that are the forever games that people love. They're competing for those hardcore dollars, right? It's the hardcore players, it's the more than casual players who buy multiple games in a year. That's where they're competing with. And when they look at that number is much smaller than the 84 million would want to, you know, make you believe, or even the 30 million. I mean, let's be clear, there are still casual people on Xbox as well, right, who just they prefer Xbox, right? They prefer the controller, they prefer Game Pass or whatever it is. So that's why they use that box as their box of choice. But they're also not going out there and buying so many games, right? Like every game that comes out is not selling 20, 30 million copies on Xbox, right? So you're in the same boat. It's just that on as a core level, right, where the more hardcore gamers are, you see them, they're right around the same. So that's why we always talk about how ridiculous it is that these people are out here saying, oh, they have so many console. PlayStation has sold 84, 90. It doesn't matter. All those consoles that are sold do not affect Sony's decision on going ahead and how much they're going to invest in their next first party game. It's not, because what they're going to look at is how many people out of those people bought one of our first party games, and they're going to scale it based off of that, right? And they're going to do it based off the timeline. Well, if this was a part 2, how much did it do in comparison to part 1? Oh, it's doing worse than part 1 did. So that means, does it make sense for us to invest more money on the next game or less money on the next game, right? These are the questions that Sony are going to live by. Not, oh, we have 100 million consoles, so we're going to invest so much more. No, every console they sell is just more cementing their store, right? The fact that PlayStation is essentially Walmart, right? Like it's a store. That's where the vast majority of people who go to PlayStation just go there to go ahead and take advantage of the free to play games and the big games that everybody knows. Everybody else, the numbers are roughly the same between Xbox and PlayStation. That's just the reality of what it is. And that's why you see most of the time these games are either roughly the same, or sometimes Xbox does better. Like I think, what was it, Madden recently was told, like we found out that more people bought it on Xbox than they did on PlayStation. And like at that point you really start to question, like, oh shit, why, how can that happen, right? Like if they have more casual people, why aren't more people over there buying it? But either way, you know, the reason that this China Project Hero game is now going everywhere is the same why everyone else moved away from exclusivity with Sony. They just want their game to be played by the most amount of people possible, And the only way you're going to do that in an effective way in today's world is to drop the game at the same time. Any other version of this, you delay your game 6 months, you delay your game a year, you're old news, man. There's so many games coming out every day. You can't think that your game's going to be big enough to fight twice, right? It has to fight when it first comes out. So the hottest that it's going to be, it has to fight for attention there. And then 6 months later or a year later or 2 years later, it's up against brand new games and you think it's going to still do the same? No, history has shown us that it doesn't happen, right? The first group of buyers are the biggest, and then after that it gets smaller every single time across the board. Obviously, unless you're a game like Grand Theft Auto, right? If you're Grand Theft Auto 6 and you cherry picked which console you were going to come out on, and that would work for them in a weird, I don't know, they would never do that, but they do it with PC, right? But maybe even that's going to change. We don't even know the reality of that space either. So it looks like, even that Take-Two guy, right, Zelnick, he said the same thing, right? It seems like it's going more towards PC, more open.
Yeah,
this is just the way forward, man. And the sooner we get to everybody being on this same page, we're understanding that the games are the focus, the games are what matter at the end of the day, and where you play them is just based off of what you feel, right? On what you believe is the platform for you, for your own reasons, and not because they lock the game that you love behind their walled garden, right? It's just gonna be better for everybody, better for the devs across the board. That's why it's one of my favorite things that Phil Spencer said when he was talking about the console, the next gen console that they're gonna make. And I think it was on, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Paris and on Gamer Tag Radio, who were doing the interview with him. And he said that he wants people to choose the box because of the box itself, what the uniqueness of it, how good is the box,
right,
and whether the box is right for you. That's awesome, right? That's what we want. We want that choice of knowing that, okay, we're picking this box excuse me, to play this game because this is the box I want to play it on. It has the features that I want, it does what I want, it has the power that I want, not because I gotta buy it here because this is the only place it is. Right, like it's so stupid. Now things have changed, right? Back in the day when it was all we knew, but now with this new sense of freedom, this new sense of choice, it's like, no, why limit ourselves, right? Why be boxed in? Let's get them where we want to play our game. So yeah, it's a good time, man, and I'm love seeing it. I love seeing this China Hero Project come out and be like, oh no, we're dropping everywhere, and Sony's funding it. They're not blind. They're not. They know what's happening. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing, and this will just keep going, and it'll become the norm at some point. And I'm here for it, man. I'm here for it.
Well, you know what? I just think it's a sign of the times. That's what it comes down to. Unfortunately, look, most of the OG.
That was crazy.
That wasn't me. That was I was stuck behind watching the guy play. Yeah, I don't know why he spun like that. That was absolute lunacy.
That was wild.
Yeah, that he planted the bomb, and of course he had to spin. It did make me nauseous because I don't get nauseous from that. But yeah, not good, especially if you're watching. So sorry about that, folks. I forgot that was in there. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you're enjoying the show as much as me and C Money are here producing it. I do have a couple of super chats and a channel member chat to get to, and then we're going to get into the second half of the show. And it regards, or it's going to be surrounding Jeff Keighley's Game Awards. We got some thoughts and some theories on what and how Xbox could show up and show out. So we got Adidas 20 in the chat. Salute to you, kind sir.
Salute.
Thank you so much for the very generous $2 super chat. He goes on to say, salute to Dr. Pepper and Mustard Man.
God damn it.
Oh man, you know what's funny? You're gonna be happy about this. I'm gonna say this publicly. I've
Mm.
stopped getting black olives in my salads because it was too much. It was
You
too
see?
much.
Now, this is the thing. There's never too much of a good thing. So inherently, it's a bad thing. All right. That's just what it is.
I mean, if you put it like that, that does make really good sense. I'm gonna be
Just a
honest.
fact, man. It's just a
But yeah,
fact.
so no more black olives in my salad. I've just been adding grilled chicken, tomatoes, croutons, and of course just romaine lettuce. I even taken out the onions because like the onions you give me agita. But yeah, so trying to keep it a buck. But
Nice.
just wanted to let you know about that and shout out to Adidas 20 for the
That's what I'm talking
generosity and
about.
of course always being here. Iman Burns in the chat, who's been a channel member, folks, for 42 months. So Iman, thank you so much for the incredible support. He goes, "What's the crack, boys? I hear some
What's the crack?
copying." Yeah, that's his way of slang. He says,
What's the crack?
yeah, what's the
Nice.
crack, boys? That's right. He goes, I hear Sony's copying the dead console again. Can't wait to watch Jeff's Sony Awards. It's on too late. Just going to have to watch and fast forward. Yeah, I mean, for you guys, it's going to be super late. For us here, I think, like I said, I'm going to be watching it as a civilian, as a non-podcaster, because I want to just enjoy it, and I'll be covering it um, the following day on Breakfast at Boom. Game Shark in the chat drops a very generous
Twinkle,
$2
twinkle, baby.
super chat. He goes on to say, they're not fighting for the money, they're fighting for your time. And that's an important, it's funny. Last night, we were talking, Hargeet and I, in the green room before we went live. And it's funny, like I look, I'm a retired guy. So you would imagine I have all day to play. I actually don't. Like I work out 4 days a week, like legitimate. I take care of the house. You've heard me tell the story before. And obviously, there's only so much time in a day, right? There's only 24 hours. And I'm finding it now more difficult to sit in front of and just like lock in for 3 hours and play Call of Duty or whatever you're playing. It's so what I find myself doing, especially when I got my teeth really sank into a game like the Outer Worlds 2 had me. I was getting up after Mrs. Boone went to sleep. I would get up at like midnight, play to like 3 o'clock in the morning. Not because I'm hiding anything from her. It's literally it's dead time. There's nobody up, there's nobody out. I'm not making the noise. I'm just enjoying my time. And it's the only time I really have because during the day it's super busy. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, of course they're fighting for your money. They want you to buy the games. But I think ultimately when it comes to like if you just look at 2025 this year, there's been so many games. It's almost ridiculous. Like it's honestly so many games. It's ridiculous. But look,
It's stupid. It's like a stupid amount of games.
it's
That's
so
why the
many
blessing
games,
of Game
especially
Pass,
like
bro.
we support everything. Like you play on PlayStation, you play on PC, you play on Switch, you play on your handheld, you play on Xbox. I mean, you're playing everywhere. There's so many games, you don't know what to do with yourself. Metroid is
Yep.
today. Isn't it Metroid coming out today?
Is it?
I think Metroid 4 is today. Today or tomorrow.
Jesus.
I know my amiibo's out for with on that the dark one. It's great. Like I'm gonna have to find time to play that game because that game looks dope and it got pretty
Yeah.
good scores. But
Yeah, some people didn't like it. Some people did. Digital Foundry did the graphics thing on it, and kind of glazed it a little bit, but
they did.
it's fine.
Yeah.
If you just accept that it's a Switch game, and don't hold it to the idea like I am holding it to, which is I wanted a next gen Switch game, not a Switch
an
1 game.
old
I wanted a
Switch
Switch
game.
2 game.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean it looks fine. It looks fine.
Look,
It's crazy
they got
because
my money.
even
They actually got my
you
money
already got
twice.
it. Yeah. I mean, look, a lot of people have been waiting for it, and I think at a certain point, if you're a fan of something, you just accept it and just kind of have to check it out, and then anyway, and so you can at least get the feel for it. But even me, like with time has been crazy, but like I've been playing like my son is a huge one of his like favorite games of all time is Super Mario Galaxy. And
Nice.
I
Dude.
never played it. Like I played it a little bit when it first like back in the day, and then I played
They
a
did
little
an
bit.
amazing job with that, bro. It looks spectacular.
Yeah, so I haven't been a big fan, and on my channel I've talked a lot of crap about that game. But I never beat it and never played the whole thing. I just from the short time I played it, I had streamed it one time and that was pretty much it. Um, so I after so many years of talking shit about the game, and I know he really loves the game, I was like, you know what? All right, I'm gonna beat the game, right? I'm gonna play the game, I'm gonna beat the game, at least give it a fair shot before I, if I'm gonna talk crap about it. And I've been playing it almost exclusively, and that's where it's like, okay, well, like all these other games that have been dropping, I really haven't been touching because I've been playing an old, Switch game because I wanted to do it for my son, and knows that I play the game that he loved and see, what it is. And my opinion has changed on it. I don't think it's the greatest game that, a lot of people think it is, but I also don't think it's the worst game. I there's a lot of parts in there that I really love, similar to how I loved Odyssey. But
Yeah.
like the time, man, is I spent all that time. Now I'm finally free from that, so now I'll go be able to play some of this other stuff that been dropping, like Routine. You saw that? Oh man, I want to
Dude,
play that.
it's downloaded. I cannot wait to get into it. It looks really good. Well, listen, again, folks, appreciate you taking the time to be here. We have a gifted member from, of course, our generous friend all the way from Hawaii, Nino Vestic. Brother, thank you so much for donating a Double Barrel Gaming membership. Folks, if you did get that from Nino, please give him a thank you. I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm sure he would as well. And appreciate the generosity as you do almost every show. We are incredibly grateful for that. But see, money. We are officially 1 week away from one of the biggest shows of 2025. Pretty much any year that the Game Awards has a show, it's one of the biggest. Now, you may push back and say, well, no, this show I find to be bigger, whether that be Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, the Xbox Showcase, and that's fine. You're not going to get any argument out of me. But for me personally, as someone that covers this, I can say with good authority that Jeff's show, every year that it comes out, whether you like Jeff or you don't, it gets millions upon millions of more viewers watching the show. And he did something that's not out of character for what they do in the Game Awards, and they put that statue out into the desert where, and everyone's like, no, oh my god, it's God of War, it's it's going to be, this, it's going to be that, it's a new Elder Scrolls. It turns out nobody knows what it is. Some people, I know that Joseph Moran, of the trophy room, said that he had it, and he did a really good deductive job on thinking that it's something to do with Soros, which of
Mhm.
course is a PlayStation game coming out next year. It is I don't know if it's a direct sequel to Returnal or is it somewhere in the, runs
No,
parallel
I
with
think
it.
it's just their next game.
It kind of looks the same, but it's not. It looks good. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you. But look, the truth of the matter is that he did a good deductive, thought process on it, and it kind of does look a little bit like it. But I don't know if that in fact is the case. I don't know why you would go all out for Soros. And I'm not
No,
being disrespectful to the game. I'm just saying that to put that much, work into this statue, even though it kind of looks like it, I don't know if Soros is going to have demons. I don't know, but
nah, it doesn't. Nothing we saw in the trailer looked like that.
no, it didn't.
Um,
Right.
I think it's something new, but I think it's something new for an existing franchise of some sort.
Interesting.
I think that you're like this actual excuse me, that statue being out there. I think that's too much work to be for something brand new that you don't know if anybody will actually give a shit about. Um, so I think it's either a franchise game that is something that we haven't seen for a while or something big. Somebody in my chat said Quake, and I was like, maybe,
Maybe. Yeah.
maybe, but I feel like it's either that or like a studio that hasn't that like a big studio that hasn't been doing much around and is gonna be make like a big splash. Like if this turns out to be some stupid like random game that did all this for nothing, it's like, bro, what? Like, why would you? Why? But Jason Schreier said it's a good one and he's not gonna ruin it. Like he knows what
Right.
it is and it's a good one. So I feel like it's a franchise. Like, I don't think you say it's a good one just because it's a cool looking new game. That happens all the time. We see them on
Yeah.
Twitter all the time where it's like, oh, look at that cool looking random new game that I never heard of. So we'll see. It's a week away. We'll find out.
Well, you know what? Keeping the conversation going with the Game Awards. So look, people in the chat, you're talking back and forth. I've seen it. Everyone calls it the PlayStation Awards, right? I've had my pushback and my thoughts and theories, and I'm not going to reiterate them regarding two games getting 19 nods. I look again. I don't want to bore you folks, but I think it's overglazing at its finest. Both
Oh yeah.
games are really good, but 19 nominations is I don't know. Maybe it's a little much. Or like the kids like to say that Jeff's doing the most, as the kids like to say. Right, fine, okay. But even though Xbox did put out 13 games this year, they still got 10 noms. Whether you think that's good or not, it's still 10 nominations. Okay, fine. But the conversation I want to have with C Money and you fine folks in the chat is this is an opportunity to potentially bookend a year that, at least in my personal opinion, and obviously push back, folks, if you don't think I'm being honest or earnest here, I think this might go down, not counting next year, one of Xbox, the platforms, its best years. They showed up and they showed out the entire year. Now, granted, there were some things that happened mid-year about layoffs and studio closures and game price, consoles pricing going up and game, potentially being raised. And of course, obviously Game Pass going up to $30. Yes, those are rake steps. Yes, those are things that none of us wanted. That no one is going to forget that those things happened. But with that said, C-Money, we cannot argue that putting out 13 games, adding to Game Pass upwards of 70 plus games once again, and releasing two partnered pieces of hardware in this year is just an amazing it's an amazing run. So
Oh yeah.
this is where I want to give you back the microphone and ask you the very simple question. The Game Awards, it's viewed by millions upon millions of people. Now, these people, some of them are hardcore, some of them are middle of the road gamers, and it's going to be watched by a lot of normies. Now, why I think this is an opportunity for Xbox is this. Next year, we know already, is going to be one of the most bombastic years for Xbox in its history, because you're getting Halo, Gears, and Forza. You're getting the Trinity.
And Fable.
Well, you got Fable, you got Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. You have now, thanks to the leak that we had from the former writer, you have an Exiles game coming out next year. That's
Clockwork.
6 bangers, brother. That's right, Clockwork Revolution. So my question to you is, with that happening next year, and we all kind of know that's happening next year, and we know what kind of year they had, I think that this is an opportunity, for Xbox to show up and show out. Now, whether that be show off some of the games that are coming next year, my perfect reality for the Game Awards is to show up, have Sarah Bond come out and announce the new hardware for next year. That's the partnered OEM hardware, which will be a preview to Magnus. And I think if you do that with a game the same way that they did it in 2019 with Hellblade 2 and the Series X, you take over the zeitgeist of this event. Let's get your thoughts, man.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. I would love to see hardware. I think, if you guys look back at 2019, what I didn't know or I didn't remember at the time was that in 2019, they went ahead and showed the console, right? Obviously, I knew that part, right? They showed the console at the Game Awards. It was this big surprise. and they showed Hellblade, which was amazing, right? But I forgot that earlier in the year they had spoken on it. They spoke about the next console. And if you look at this year, that's what they did, right? They've been talking about the next console. So it only makes sense in my mind to finish off the year the same way, especially if we are in fact getting a console next year. And I think this is going to decide it, right? If they show it, then obviously we know it's happening. But if they don't show it, then I'm gonna have to say, in my mind at least, that there is no console next year coming. But I feel like that would just be the perfect thing to do. Just go ahead, show what's coming next, show the next box, show the plans. We already have it. We already have the beta in our hands. You know what I'm saying? That Ally X is in our hands already. We already know what it's going to function like, but show us it and show us a game. Like you said, that would be fantastic. Have it be one of the secret game that one of the studios that we kind of forgot about. Maybe let it be, even though it's not I mean, technically it'd be first party in publishing, but not first party. Maybe it's the 100-star game. Maybe it's the guys who are making,
Yeah.
the Rocksteady guys who formed their own company. Maybe it's time to show what they have. Maybe it's time to show, what is it, elsewhere, the Activision
Oh,
studio that they made.
snap, dude. Yeah, I
Um,
forgot about that studio. Holy crap,
yeah,
dude.
so I mean, because you still have more time, maybe they can show what they worked on or what they're working on. Give us a glimpse of that future that we all expected was going to happen this gen. And to some extent it did with some games, but it's just not the majority of games, right? So I would love that for sure. I think that would be phenomenal. I think one of the other big ways that Microsoft can really and Xbox can really make a impact at this show is having games show up that are at the end going to say Xbox Play Anywhere and Game Pass.
Yeah.
So even if it's
Mhm.
not a first party game, um, if it's a third party cool looking game, whatever it is, and then at the end of the screen it shows Game Pass, even if it says PlayStation or it shows Xbox Play Anywhere, like those I think will be huge W's for them to kind of uh make it so that it's every time a show is happening, it's impactful, right? For Xbox, because at some point you're going to start to see that Xbox is not only getting the game, but they're getting it with a benefit that actually matters, right? You get Xbox Play Anywhere, you buy that version of the game, you get it on Xbox and PC, right? Phenomenal, and mobile and cloud, right? Everything, every possible version of this thing you get. And then obviously Game Pass. If you start showing up with some Game Pass games during that show, it's going to be phenomenal. You got the most eyes on this show, right? It's one of the most viewed game shows that are out there. Show that these games are coming to Game Pass. The games that people are excited about are coming to Game Pass. I think that that's going to be a huge moment for them to do. I mean, we had that third party partner preview, and Game Pass and Xbox Play Anywhere was all over that. It was phenomenal. um I say that that's the way this stuff needs to be treated going forward,
I
man. Like,
agree.
this is the third party show. Put that Game Pass stamp on there. Put that Xbox Play Anywhere stamp on there. Make it so that you get that the Xbox players who are watching are like, oh shit, this is great. This is special for me, right? This for me, we get this extra, bonus, which is phenomenal. And then when it comes to games themselves, you gotta keep in mind that they are going, assuming they keep the tradition going, which this would be the third one, right? Um, is in January they're going to do a direct,
Yes.
right? So between December, the Game Awards, and January, I mean, you got 1 month, right? So that the Game Awards for me is mostly like, let me see some surprises, something exciting coming out in the future, right? Maybe come over here and be like, all right, we want to announce we're making this game. And then maybe something that won't necessarily be getting a look at the developer direct. So maybe something later in the year for Xbox, something that's going to finish 2026 as opposed to being the first half of it be shown there. So something that won't be at the developer direct, but I think ultimately, I think there should be first party presence. I would love that. I would love for them to show us something that has been that's new, right? Not an update, new. Something that one
Yes.
of the
Something
studios
we
that
didn't
we've
know
been
was happening
exactly.
potentially.
Even if it's like maybe Ninja Theory is just the stamp on what's the future, and maybe now we're going to see Project Mara, right, or whatever
Yes.
that next step is going to be, right? Maybe they just use Ninja Theory every time to hype up what Xbox is capable of producing, and give us a glimpse of what the Hellblade tech looks like with a next gen focus, with what they're doing next. So um I think that would be phenomenal, right? Show us the next box, show us something from them. Um, I'm really intrigued. I'm really intrigued. And I coming into the June showcase, I had a belief that they might want to get us back into this loop where we had games to look forward to out further. But then obviously we didn't really have that happen because they have so many games. They really don't need to do this big far out projection because the whole year is just stacked with games. But it would be nice for me personally. I do like having, that
You're
the
talking about
game in the
maybe a
distance.
2027 game announced.
Yeah, like give me a 2027 game that is not coming out in 2026, but is taking us the next step further. Like I think we're gonna start. I think 2026 is the year to catch up, right? I don't think you go further than 2026 with the games that have been announced. I think State of Decay is also going to come out next year, even though people are saying that it's going further. I don't know about that. I feel like we're at the point where it's time to wrap it all up. And if you're talking about Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable, Clockwork Revolution, and State of Decay 3, 6 gigantic, massive games, and then
Brother, you
Call of
also
Duty,
got the
obviously,
confirmed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Like,
that would be 7 massive, gigantic, Titanic type games that would be releasing next year, which I mean, if that year happens, that would have to be the most legendary year in all of gaming, like in any
yeah.
generation ever. There would be no way to deny that, and it would put Xbox in the history books. Like there's no platform holder, no first party publisher would ever have put out that many first party games that are that high quality or that
You
big
know what's
budget.
funny that you say that? Because while you were talking, this just popped into my head. I know that we're talking about the Game Awards, and then now we've kind of segued into 26. But I just want to say this for context. Okay. So you said, and I said earlier that Xbox is releasing, and this is confirmed, folks. This is not a myth. This is not a projection. This is not a rumor. Halo, Gears, and Forza are releasing next year. They're getting their own all new games. Now, granted, Halo Combat Re-Evolved is a remake of the original, but it has 2 new missions. But the point of this conversation is that you are getting Halo, Gears, and Forza in 1 year. But I think what's more important than that is that you are getting it in the 25th anniversary year of Xbox. So, just for context and why you should look at this and be amazed and sit back and gasp for breath, is that just imagine if Sony PlayStation released a new God of War, a new Spider-Man, and a new Uncharted in the same year. People would be falling out of their chairs left, right, and center. So that's what I'm saying. Like it is a really big deal. And I know that we are still in 2025. I know that we still have, 21 days to Christmas and then, another couple of days after that to the new year, but it is a monster sized deal. So we all know that this is happening, C Money. And I think you're onto something because I think there's an opportunity here for Xbox to close out this year, having the year that they had, and bring something big to the table. And I'm telling you this right now, if it's freaking hardware and they go out and they say, okay, this year we partnered with Asus to bring you the first handheld Xbox gaming devices for you to take your gaming on the go. And they've been great. I've been using mine, if not every day, every other day. I've been playing all types of games, AAA bombs, as well as something like Marvel's Cosmic Invasion. It runs great and looks great, and it's just awesome, right? But if they could end the year by announcing the Asus hardware for underneath the TV, this is going to be a preview box to what Magnus is going to be. Holy shit, C Money. That is how you close the book, in my opinion, on 2025. So let me just, before we get on out of here, I want to get your final thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the best way for me. I would love to see the hardware. I'm very, very excited for it. I'm ready for new hardware. I love the new handheld. It's my favorite way to play right now. I love the dashboard. Like, I love the full Xbox experience. I put it on other handhelds now. I have
Fantastic.
it on my PC. So now when I turn on my PC, it launches right into Xbox. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. I love it. So I'm ready for the next box. Give me the next box. Let's go ahead and show me what's coming, man. And I'm ready for it. Again, like, we've been talking about it on my show for a long time now, but like, the idea of generations, I think is done, right? I think generations now for a console are no longer like this brand new, timeline of gaming. I think what it is basically PlayStation and Xbox and all these people, they're basically just becoming like an Nvidia, right? Then the next console is the next GPU that Nvidia drops, right? Is the next best way to play games. But I think for one, the series and PlayStation 5 generation aren't going anywhere. I think it's staying here. I don't think this is going to leave anytime soon. And hell, I think even the Xbox One and PlayStation 4 generation are still going to be valid, and are still going to be played while the next generation starts. So I think for me, I'm excited because I feel like they're going to transition it to, and maybe people won't like this, and just kind of is what it is. And I could only ever talk for how I see things and what I want in gaming. And I think that they're going to transition to treating the generations going forward as a luxury. And I think that they're not going. I don't think Xbox gives three shits whether a crazy amount of people buy the next box or not. I think that for them, they just, no matter, this is the thing, no matter how powerful the next Xbox is, PC, the 5090 is still going to be stronger, right?
Yeah.
So like, there's always, like, no matter what, they're always making their games for PC. So like, all these Xbox games are always going to, theoretically run best on a 5090, right? So so for me, I want them to go all out. I want them to make the most powerful box that they could conceivably make, with the best features, the brand new features, things that we didn't think about. I want AI to be used to even amplify it even more and do more with the tech that's in the box. Like, I really want them to go all out. So I do expect it to be in the, I would say $800 to $1,200 range, is where I would expect the next boxes to be, and I would like them to really go all out with that. So the fact that we know that they're going to be, exploring this idea of other companies making boxes too over time. I think Phil and Sarah kind of squashed the idea that the next box was going to be from somebody else. I think they kind of said that the next box was going to be the Xbox.
You're talking about the one in 27. Like, they're still doing OEM hardware, but they are making their own Microsoft produced. People can argue with me all you want. They're doing two SKUs. They're going to do a handheld, and I think it's going to be a dockable. I really do. I think that it makes sense for them to
100%.
pull a page out of Nintendo and have an S model. Listen, just walk with me on this, folks. Have an S model, and I know people are going to fight with me and say, "Well, it didn't really work out for them now." But this is different. This is an open-ended platform where now there's basically things are PCs. So you're not going to have the same problem with a S model of the series of Magnus, because it's going to be
Nope.
made simply for portability, and you're going to be able to plug it in. And who's to say that when you plug it in, that actual dock does not have hardware in it? See, we're all assuming that it's just going to be a piece of plastic, but I don't think so. I think that this thing, there's going to be a big boy box. And whatever it costs you, myself, a lot of people in this chat, we're spending the money. If it's 1,000, we're spending it. If it's 1,200, we're buying it because we want more power, right? But I still think that there's an opportunity to still get people in the door. Because here's the other thing. We have not really had this conversation, and I kind of talked about it in the green room. We didn't bring it up yesterday, but there is a major thing, C Money, that is happening for the next Xbox hardware that I don't think Sony can compete with, and it has nothing to do with power. If this has been reported, folks, this is not a suggestion. Jez Corden broke this. They are going to remove the freaking paywall for you to play with your friends online with these new boxes that are Xboxes. And that is a monster-sized deal that Sony cannot compete with. I'm just saying that if you look at what Xbox is doing with this next generation hardware, is not only changing the game as we know it, you are going to be winning if you're playing on Team Xbox. I'll say that.
I think, and what I like about that is it lines up with what Phil was saying about the hardware, and you can kind of translate that over to the subscription, right? Where it's nice, the idea that they might, that they're removing that paywall, or they might be removing the paywall, and it becomes less about, oh, you have to subscribe to play multiplayer, to you subscribe because you want Game Pass and you want the benefits, like the service itself is worthy of subscription, not because you have to subscribe to something to play multiplayer, right? Which would inherently push the subscription to be better at certain points, right? To offer more, to do more. So yeah, I mean, that checks out, man. And you're absolutely right. It's definitely going to be a big deal. And Xbox would be jumping way earlier. Like we saw the 360 era where Xbox went 1 year earlier, and how big of a shift that made. Obviously now, if they do drop next year a new console, which I think we're all very hopeful for, and we're just following the patterns of what they've done in the past. If they do that, you're literally talking about going 1, maybe 2 years before the next Sony box would even arrive. Because again, I know people like to interpret words and change them to suit their narrative, but let's be clear, we're in 2025. Mark Cerny was just on a stream with the dude from AMD and said that what they're working on is a few years away. And I'm sorry, but a few is 3, a couple is 2. It's crazy how I saw people, as soon as that interview went up and he said a few years, which would put you from 2025 to 2028. As soon as that interview went up, people were like, rumor, it's dropping in 2027. It's like, fam, I don't know how math works on PlayStation side. It's very difficult to understand, but a few years is 3, and 25 plus 3 is 28. I don't know how they just create this old narrative in their head.
You might be a mathematician, sir.
With this degree I have in math, apparently, because I could do this simple arithmetic. It's crazy.
Well, look,
it's real crazy, but I'm excited, man. This is the perfect end cap to an amazing year on Xbox.
Yeah.
I think I know you brought up, like, there was these things that happened in the middle of the year, but I think if you take away the bullshit and focus on gamers, right? The gamers,
Yes.
what did gamers experience this year?
We won.
It was a flawless victory,
Yeah.
right? It was a
Great point.
flawless victory. Xbox nailed it. It was game after game after game, big game, small game, important games. Like, dude, as crazy as it is, people talk about Game Pass. They can never discredit Game Pass again. Claire Obscure Expedition 33 launched day one in a Game Pass,
Yep.
and it is literally the most nominated game in history. And it's more than likely going to sweep every category that it's in.
I agree.
So we are now in an era where the idea of what goes into Game Pass is no longer. I mean, we've known it for a long time, but you know what these people, right? They fill their head with whatever they want to fill it with. But there's going to be no denying the fact that Game Pass is the home to the best games that are out there. Yeah. And that's just the reality, right? And the people who are making these games want their games in Game Pass. They want more people touching their games. Expedition 33 sold a shit ton of sales outside of Game Pass, but they still had the benefit of Game Pass. They went out, they admitted it themselves. They said it was because of the exposure that they got on Xbox's stage, on their platform, on Game Pass, that helped take them to where they got. And look, I mean, that's just what it is. So again, as a gamer, if you were part of the Xbox side of things, you had a flawless victory. There was no comparison. There's no, oh my God, no, we didn't. Nope. Amazing year. One of the best years ever, frankly. And I could honestly say it was my best year of gaming completely, with everything that came out and the fact that I had Game Pass, which means I didn't have to go out there and spend thousands of dollars to do the gaming that I did this year. This was phenomenal, and it looks like it's nothing but up from here. Yeah. Right, we're getting more games. We went from 50 games to 75 games. You got surprises like Marvel, the
Cosmic Invasion. That
wasn't announced as a Game Pass game. That was brought out later to be a Game Pass game. They got like when the first Marvel Cosmic, like when I was playing it in June, right? It wasn't a Game Pass game off the rip.
Nope.
And it became one right after the upgrade, after they did this new Game Pass and they promised the 75 games, they went ahead and got that game, right? Which is phenomenal. That's what we want. We want them out there trying to impress us. And that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing, man. They're ending out the year with December. We got Marvel Cosmic Invasion in Game Pass. That was a big name. And Routine looks like a phenomenal game that's in Game Pass to end out the year, and plus some more. So I'm loving it. And I can't wait to see what next year brings, man. Because we already know the big ones.
Well, the one thing I talked about last night is they've already announced 40 games for Xbox Game Pass in 26, counting their first party. 40 games already, and we're still in this year. So, yeah, we're going to be eating good in the neighborhood for sure. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for it. We got a super chat here, though, but let me catch up with that. Will the Broke Boy Insider says, I rebooted my desktop PC and the Xbox FSE, which is the full screen experience, showed up on the app, which I believe that those they're doing the round robbing of releases, so that's pretty dope. Thank you so much for the generosity, Will. $2 super chat. And shout out to Nino Vestic, who just confirmed that the season 1 of Call of Duty Black Ops 7 is live, ladies and gentlemen. So get out there and spend the money, because that's what I'm going to do. I cannot wait. I'm very much loving it. I'm about to prestige for the second time, and this is I died a lot. This is my first footage. You got to see how I'm rolling these suckers now. I found it took a while. I finally got the gun to where I wanted, and you know something? I don't have it here. I should have put it here. I just got my first SCUF controller. It's the Black Ops 7 one. It's dope. I tried it out. I gotta learn the controller. I don't like it as much as the Elite. I know
Yep.
Scuff's really good, and it's good. It's excellent. Has nice weight to it, but it's a little loose. I don't know what it is. I have to get used to it because I'm used to the Elite controllers. But I did buy it
Yeah.
because it was the Black Ops 7 one, and it does look dope. That actually just came in. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it for us. For me and C Money. See, we got to sell the brand, brother. And again, you haven't been here in a minute because you've been super busy with your, with real life. But we're so happy to have you back. Talk about on
Thanks,
point for
brother.
gamers and what you and the missus are doing on a weekly basis. Where you've taken the podcast has been to the greatest of heights, and we're happy and proud to see you guys succeed as much as you have. Sell the brand, brother. Where can people continue to subscribe to your YouTube channel, but more importantly, tune into tune into not only the live shows, but a lot of your gameplay videos that you're doing now, which are pretty dope. And more importantly, where can they follow you guys on social media?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, Boom, appreciate you, man. Love being on the show. I know it's been a while, so and work is kind of hectic, but whenever I can, I definitely want to be on the show. So it's appreciate you, man. Love being here. So obviously Thursdays, 12 o'clock is where we're at. And then yeah, on point for gamers. I did put the link in the chat. Yeah, we have well, we've kind of changed some of the schedule just because life is life and there's a lot of stuff going on. But so we do our Tuesday night show, 8 p.m. Eastern, which is Night Quest. It's with our boy Farrell Bazaar. It's a fun show. Obviously, we do all the same stuff, talk about gaming. And then we have our Thursday night show, which is we doing it live, which is a gameplay show where we stream, a bunch of games. And then normally end up with a community night type scenario where we'll do a multiplayer game if anybody wants to hop in, we'll play. So that's Thursday night, so that's tonight. We'll be doing that. And then Friday nights is the night shift, Let's Talk Gaming, and that's with our homie Hargeet Chani and Demo Flow Gaming, where we just rock out, man. We have a good time, man. It's look, we're an Xbox channel, and we're focused on gaming news from an Xbox gamers perspective, but we're not into the crying, we're not into the BS. We're all in on Xbox's strategy going forward. We're happy with the way everything is going, so we're not worried about the criers or the naysayers. This is the future of gaming that we want, and we're happy for it. So if you haven't, of course, I see a lot of our homies that are here. If you haven't been to the show, or if you haven't been to the show for a while, come rock out. We're having a good time, man. The show's been really fun.
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about. Like I said, I last night I kind of threw the gauntlet down. We love the community. We love everyone to come in, but what we're not going to stand for are the assholes. We're just not going to do it anymore. So we have reached out to the modders and have requested that if someone comes in and they're just an asshole, they get banned. That's it. We don't have
Yep.
look, we are a welcoming channel, and we love this community more than you could possibly imagine. But we don't have to take anyone's bullshit, and we're just not going to do it anymore. So if you are an asshole, a troll, or somewhere in the middle, you're going to find a very short attention span from any of us, and you're just going to get bounced. And I think that's how we're going to do it moving forward, because you know what, we're here to have fun. I'm not here to get into arguments with people over opinions. If you don't like mine, I hear you. There are many of other podcasts you can listen to. Hate
Facts.
watching things, not really a good way of spending your time. But look, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in to hanging out with me and C Money here today. Please tune into his live podcasts and of course his gameplay podcast, because that's a really big deal. I couldn't do it. I can't talk and play at the same time, which is why I like playing with randos, because I suck. I need to be focused. I cannot do both at the same time. It's probably because I'm old. But ladies and gentlemen, hey, shout out to Far Q in the chat, brother. I didn't even see you. Welcome as always. No, you're not an a-hole at all. You are a very important part of the community, and of course, I mean, I don't know if you saw the video that he made of Keasante. It's frightening. It's terrifying. It's
Is it? That
psychotic.
is,
But his talent is
yeah, Mark
incredible.
Hughes doesn't mess around.
You
Doesn't matter.
know he does.
Fun fact, most of the artwork that you see on our show, so any of our logos or whatever that you see,
done
like as
them?
far as like with us being a different person,
That's good, man.
he's done them. So he's not messing around.
Yeah,
High
he actually
quality.
did. I'm using. He did a Mr. Boomstick, Captain America crossover that I had. He redid it. It's phenomenal. It's my logo and everything. So I absolutely
Nice.
love it. And he says I'm AI. Well, I
AI.
hope not, brother. But listen, again, thank you folks for tuning in. Obviously, as we get closer to Christmas, we're gonna have our 8th annual Christmas with Mr. and Mrs. Boom. We have already confirmed $500 in digital giveaways. We have a few other things that we're working on right now that we're not ready to announce. We have a big partnership with a company that we're going to announce. That's going to be a really big thing for the channel moving into 2026. So of course, when we're ready to talk about all of that, of course, you'll be the first to know. A big thank you to all of the super chats, gifted subs, and channel memberships that continue to come in. And of course, for C Money and myself, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully, one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.